Hello again. This is a quick and short video with a quick word about SQL injection. Now we've learned how to connect, how to create and select databases, drop them, how to create and drop tables, how to insert data into tables, how to execute scripts in general, how to select data from tables, how to do all that stuff. And I'm assuming you know how to use the delete statement to actually delete data from a given table. And I'll show you how a simple delete statement in a moment. But usually there is a potential danger when using um, PHP and MySQL Server. There's a very famous attack called SQL injection where a user might be able to inject SQL code within your code. For example, if you want, for example, a user to submit their data, you give them a web form where they can fill, for example, their first name, last name, date of birth, etc., and then they submit that form, and then using variables from that form, using fields from that form, you execute a query on your server. Then there is a potential danger of people injecting their code. Now, luckily, there is a way of avoiding that, but just to show you a simple example of how this might happen, let's assume this is an exact copy from the select script. I named the inject. This is the exact copy, an executable file, so we connect the usual way and select database usual way. And now, what we're going to do is we're going to, for example, run a simple query where we select all the records that have first name Alex. Excuse me. Now, what I did here is I had a variable called name, and I gave it a value of Alex, a string value, and then I'm saying select student ID, student F name, L name, date of birth from my table where, using the where clause now, where student F name equals, and this is how you pass a variable to your into your query. By the way, you can use single quotes or double quotes. That's not a problem. If you want to use double quotes inside here, you just need to uh, use the escape character that we learned before. But single quotes, we don't need to do that. So that's something else that we learned in this video. Now, we can run that to get all the records that have Alex as the first name. Now, just to run inject quickly, then we have two records now, ID 15 and ID 18, Alex Danny. This was when we actually learned that when we added the date, and we mentioned that there was an error when we corrected it using the quotation marks. Now, what we can do, for example, is we can comment this out and use the variable like this. And this might, for example, you can imagine if someone is inserting their data into your web form, instead of writing Alex as first name, they might write, for example, Alex and then single quotation and then semicolon. A semicolon, what it does is it ends a SQL statement. So that means that's the end of a SQL statement. But what they can do is they can insert another statement after that. So what's happening here is we're saying Alex, close the quotation, which is which is this one here, to close the quotation, and then after that do a semicolon, i.e. end that statement, and then if I say delete from my table, another semicolon, that statement, if it executes, it will delete every record from my table. Yeah, it will delete all the records. And if someone successfully submits that and that gets executed in your MySQL statement, if that gets executed in here, then what will happen is it'll probably query the table to get something with this value here. They get all the records that had Alex as first name, and then after that execute another query, which is to delete the table. This is what is called as SQL injection. There's loads of videos on YouTube about this. There's loads of tutorials online. You can search about it if you want. I'm not going to explain in detail, but you can learn what a SQL injection is, and it's a very serious attack. Now, fortunately, if I try to run this now to execute the SQL injection, as you're going to see, it will connect the database, but it will fail. Why? Because fortunately, the MySQL query function does not allow what is called as uh, query stacking, i.e. executing more than one query at the same time. It doesn't allow that. You need to use one query at a time. So that's a good feature of it. But there are other ways, or there are some extensions for PHP which actually allow that. I think for extension for MySQLite, if I still remember. Anyway, there are some extensions, and you need to be very careful about SQL injection. Now, when I said it doesn't allow query stacking. If you remember the insert, and when we inserted multiple values, this is not query stacking because we are using the insert keyword once, but we having more than one record. That's just a feature of that query of the insert query. The way we can provide multiple row values, as you can see here, but we are not actually executing multiple statements at the same time. Hope that makes sense. Going back to this statement again, remember SQL injection, please be very careful. There are ways to escape special characters. If you remember when we use the backslash, there are several ways of doing this. Try to learn about it. I'm not going to execute it here. I just want to be clear that this is dangerous. There is a risk, and there are precautions that you can take when you use something like this in your web forms or in your web pages. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.